The training yard was alive with tension, sunlight bouncing harshly off polished rifles and sweat-slicked uniforms. Lieutenant Commander Evelyn Hart stood at the edge of the obstacle course, eyes scanning the challenges that had defeated every SEAL who had tried in the past 2 years. A cluster of elite Navy SEALs snickered, glancing at each other. "Do you mind if I try?" she asked, her voice steady, calm, almost casual. The laughter that erupted in response was immediate, a mix of amusement and disbelief. No one expected her to succeed. No one expected her to even come close. Seconds later, they would realize just how wrong they had been. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're rewatching from. I love knowing who's listening. Evelyn's gaze traced the high walls, swinging ropes, and suspended platforms that had beaten the best for 2 years. The crowd of SEALs leaned casually against rails, arms crossed, sneers playing at the corners of their mouths. But Evelyn didn't flinch. Her mind cataloged every detail: the grain of the wood, the tension in the ropes, the angle of the climbing wall. She could feel the heat rising from the concrete, smell the faint metallic temps of sweat, hear the distant hum of the training drones buzzing above. She thought she'd never see this course conquered. She was wrong. The first wall was deceptively simple, but Evelyn's approach was meticulous. Fingers gripped the coarse surface, muscles coiling and releasing with practiced precision. Her heart pounded not from fear, but anticipation. Each movement was deliberate, flowing seamlessly into the next. The SEAL's laughter faded, replaced by a subtle shift: curiosity, incredulity, and the first flicker of doubt. She reached the rope swings, a challenge that had ended more than one attempt in failure. Evelyn paused, calculating distance, rhythm, and momentum. The crowd leaned forward. Even the trainers stopped their pacing, drawn in by the inevitability building before them. Her swing launched perfectly, feet catching the next platform with silent precision. The rope quivered, the sun glinting off the sweat on her brow, and the murmurs began a chorus of astonishment that grew with each flawless maneuver. Evelyn thought briefly of the ridicule she might face if she failed, but the thought dissolved instantly. Fear was a tool, not a master. Her mind focused on the rhythm, the physics, the subtle cues in every movement. Every SEAL who had laughed was now watching, incredulous, struggling to reconcile their expectations with the reality unfolding before them. By the time she reached the upper platform, the impossible record was within her grasp. The final challenge, a suspended beam that had been the downfall of every previous competitor, awaited. It wobbled ominously, daring her to falter. Evelyn stepped forward, feet firm, arms extended, heart steady. The beam groaned under weight and pressure, a subtle, trembling whisper of past failures echoing through the training yard. And yet she moved with flawless balance, each step a statement of mastery over doubt, over fear, over expectation. The crowd's murmur rose to near silence. Even the instructors exchanged glances. Evelyn's face was calm, serene, almost detached. But inside, every nerve was alive with the thrill of anticipation, the satisfaction of skill honed over years of relentless training. She reached the end, and with a final, deliberate motion, planted her feet firmly on solid ground. The reaction was immediate. The SEALs who had laughed seconds earlier froze, jaws slack, eyes wide. The 2-year record had fallen in minutes. Cheers erupted, loud, genuine, a mixture of respect and awe. Evelyn's chest rose and fell slowly. She allowed herself a brief smile, knowing the victory was both personal and shared a demonstration that preparation, skill, and focus could surpass expectation, no matter the gender or stereotype involved. Yet even in triumph, Evelyn maintained perspective. She could have gloatingly celebrated, reveling in the disbelief of those who doubted her. Instead, she extended a hand to the first SEAL who approached, guiding him through the final steps, sharing insight, mentoring without condescension. The moral weight of victory was as important as the record itself. True strength inspires, does not intimidate. The murmurs of the crowd turned into applause, a mixture of admiration and realization. Evelyn's peers now understood that skill and determination are the only measures of capability. Humility, resilience, and patience had carried her through the course, leaving behind a story that would ripple through the SEAL community for years. The record was shattered, But the lesson was far greater. Underestimate no one. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the training yard, Evelyn allowed herself a quiet reflection. The laughter, the doubt, the snickers, they were all part of the journey. She had turned ridicule into motivation, skepticism into triumph, and a 2-year record into a testament of perseverance. The SEALs would remember the day not just for the record broken, but for the courage, skill, and grace that had made it possible. Because courage doesn't vanish, it waits, and it finds its way back. And as the shadows lengthened and the yard emptied, Evelyn walked away, calm and composed, leaving behind a story of excellence, determination, and inspiration. A story that would be whispered, remembered, and retold. A story that proved one thing above all: underestimating someone who has prepared, who has trained, who has persevered, is a mistake that only takes seconds to realize. If this story inspired you, make sure to like, subscribe, comment below. Your voice keeps whispered words alive, and every heroic story remembered.